Welcome to this week's episode of Adventures in Movies looks at dot dot dot. I am Nathaniel Muir and I'm the movie editor at AIPT. This week I'm joined by the hosts of Adventures in Movies.
That's us.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, my
And,
light went bright.
yeah, that was pretty freaky. Which is apropos because we are dealing with a mystery thriller this week. This week we're going to be looking at The Bay of Silence. It's a thriller that focuses on a man named Will and his wife Rosalind. One night, Rosalind disappears with their three kids. Will goes on a frantic looking for her, and surprises abound. So right off the bat, it's a mystery from pretty much from beginning to end. How engaging was the mystery for you guys?
You know what? I was engaged. I was telling you guys off the mic or after the recording that I was very tired, but like throughout the things that like it kept me engaged through it. Even though I was like tired, I was falling asleep through it. It really did like pick up at times. So it did wake me up at points where I was like, oh, this sounds very interesting.
Oh, it's funny because you're saying at times, at points.
Yeah, that's how I would say. I would say it to me, it had kind of a slow, like it took a while to get off the ground.
Right.
And once it did, yeah, I would say the mystery is pretty engaging. But yeah, I thought it took too long.
It took a while to get into it, I thought, and the mystery itself, I don't think it was, I don't know, organically engaging. It was just kind of like one of those things you're watching and you're like, well, that's pretty crazy, so I'd like to see what happens next. And okay,
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens next. But it was very artificial.
Why is that happening now?
A lot of that. A lot of like, okay, like, did I miss something type of thing? Oh.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go for that.
I was going to say that this was kind of like a wannabe noir in a way. Like it wanted to be like, you know, we have not a grizzled like detective, but like, you know, this guy that's frantically looking for his wife for like, you know, and as he's stumbling, he just gets into more and more deep into it. I think that's what I wanted this character to. I think it's a slow burn. That's exactly like any like noir film. You know, it's slow, and I think I appreciated that a little bit. But I don't know. Like I mentioned, like it doesn't click at some points, and yeah, like some people are like, "Oh, okay, we're here now. I guess we're gonna like stumble into this now." Like it's a stumble. A lot of the times are stumbles.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, that's actually a great point with noirs and actually any movie, especially mystery that has a slow burn to it. There is a moment where it all has to click, where everything's like, okay, maybe you don't understand it or anything, but there's that part where you're like, okay, like I'm in it. Like I get the previous parts and I can't wait to see what happens next. And yeah, I never got that from this either. So it's pretty twist heavy, and when I say pretty twist heavy, it's very twist heavy. So I guess I'll say right now that spoiler warning, this movie has so many twists, but we're not going to go into any specific twist. So if you do want to see this movie, we're not going to ruin anything. We might inadvertently mention some things that'll kind of talk about the movie, but we won't ruin any of the twists. So very twist heavy. Did you guys feel that it was effective?
No. I thought that, as you said, with the twist being, I like a good twist. I love a good twist. Who doesn't?
Right?
Yeah. I'm Chubby Checker. But when one leads to another, and it wasn't like it wasn't like I'm discovering this new thing. It was just like, what? Oh, okay. So then that's who that is, and okay, now that's the direction we're going. Oh wait, so it made the mystery less engaging, like we were saying earlier,
and very confusing at times. Actually.
Super confusing.
It was jerking you around. Like every twist was like, here you go, and then here you go, and
not in the good way.
Yeah. It was not a very jerky roller coaster ride. Yeah. And it's not a fun one.
It's the problem with
Yeah.
twists. And like Blake said, yeah, a good twist. Like, who doesn't like a good twist? That moment where, going back to the X Factor, like a good twist is that moment where you're like, I get it, and that
Right.
explains this, and that explains that. And the side, I guess, the side effect of a twist, and ask M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong, it's a very negative part of the twist, is it exposes the writing. If you're going to have a twist, you're begging the audience to scrutinize every single plot point in your story. And in this case, it has a number of twists, and it just does not have the story to match up to it. That's
No.
and actually, it exposes how lazy the writing is, I think.
Yeah, I would say it makes one entire huge portion of the movie completely irrelevant, which is really weird
Yeah.
to do to yourself.
It does, and actually that so Danny mentioned noir. Um, I thought this movie would have done much better as an erotic thriller. I think you could have kept the same basic plot.
Yeah.
You already had the girl who talked about table dancing in the beginning. It's like a very
You're right. What was even that?
Yeah.
yeah. It was like lurid reds at points, and you can have the same basic plot and have, I think, a decent erotic thriller. As we just had a Stink month a few months back,
Yeah.
and we're so.
Oh yeah.
Danny, you mentioned noir. So, do you guys think this would have been maybe better served if they did different things with? This was just a straight up mystery. That's it. Like, you think they should have gone in a different direction?
No, I don't think it should have gone. I think, I guess when I say like noir, it's like very atmospheric, and like the set pieces that it has, like when it's just a couple, right at the beginning. So this is not really a spoiler. It plays like they're in love, and then as we go throughout the like,
Yes.
we go through different modes like of the in the movie, and it does play with some of it. I feel like if it was maybe a little bit stronger in direction, maybe it could have worked better. Maybe even the writing could have been a lot stronger. I mean,
Right.
it's not like the things that I was picking up a lot was like, oh, the movie gets moved along with the music, so it helped it like kind of like trot along. But that writing was like,
Yeah. So it tried to shock you
yeah,
numerous times, but
Right.
the shocks were super underwhelming. Yeah, every time, or if not underwhelming, confusing. And
What?
yeah,
Okay.
no, go
Well,
ahead.
you mentioned the writing. It's actually based on a book from 1986. So, do you get that feeling watching it?
Yeah, which grocery store was this for sale at?
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought of when I after we watched the movie, and I was like, okay, like I want to see who wrote this, and it's
Nora
based on
Roberts or some shit.
that's the name that I thought of. I was like, I would have seen this at Furs back in
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Exactly, right by the
oh,
donuts.
I mean, if you think about it, like even the way that it treats mental illness, it's like that's totally out of the 80s. It's just a complete plot device.
Oh, it wasn't. Yeah, and it wasn't
It meant
like
nothing.
it meant nothing, and it wasn't modern. That wasn't modern
no,
storytelling at all.
No,
yeah,
it was, and Danny's right. It's the writing. It's like
Yeah,
I've never read the book, and I never will. But it's like they did a faithful adaptation of this page by page.
yeah,
It's like they made no change. They didn't attempt to modernize it in any way whatsoever.
yeah.
So I figure you make it more Basic Instinct and less whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
It might be a little more interesting.
You're right. You know what? I might have liked this more had I read it or watched it wearing a nightgown.
There you go. With
with the
the
curlers and everything.
Yeah,
oh, you beat me to it. Then I thought, oh, if I say that, I'll have to cut it out.
big fuzzy slippers.
So, Danny, you mentioned the locations, and it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful
It's super
locations
pretty.
in the movie.
It's super pretty.
I thought they kind of lost that though. Like in the begin, exotic, like the entire time, really rich, highfalutin people, but nothing ever was as beautiful as the beginning, and then the very end where they go back to the Bay of Silence.
You know what? I really liked. I think when he went to that little secluded area where he's look. I don't want to give up too much, but what he's actually looking for her. It's like I don't know, like Ireland. I don't know. It's super pretty,
It's
super green.
France, I believe.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that whole
France.
area, it was super pretty,
Yeah.
and that I think that's where I noticed like it being very atmospheric. But yeah, like towards the end, you're just like it like all production felt like probably like set locations and everything just went through. So it kind of got stale. It got stale like halfway, I think.
And so, I mean, locations are beautiful for a while. Story is almost non-existent. Performances. What do you guys think of the performances?
That's what saved it, man. That's what made this movie enjoyable to me was the acting. I thought Clace, is it Clace Bang? What a fucking name! What an incredible name. And Olga Kurilenko. I mean, and Brian Cox. I mean, all great actors. Olga does a particularly great job.
Carries it, I think.
Carries the
Yeah.
movie totally. Believable performance of like kind of losing your shit. And then the lead, I thought, he's you'll notice him. You may recognize him from the Dracula series that's on Netflix right now. It's a BBC thing, I think.
Oh.
He is Dracula.
Oh.
And he's what made me continue to watch that. And so he definitely was I liked his performance in this a lot as well.
Yeah, I do think he was a very strong actor throughout this whole thing. I do believe he was like looking for her, and even like Olga, that was the actress's
Olga
name.
Kurylenko.
I feel like she did really provide a good performance. I just feel like that what we're talking about, like the whole mental illness. I wish it wasn't so dated, and even like with Brian Cox, like kind of like he was kind of like just thrown away as well. Like as much as he was given, it wasn't much.
Well, good.
And
These are good points. Now, the performances we're saying are strong. Let's get into the characters. Now,
yeah,
I think Will, the performance is great. It's good. It's good. Borderline great. I thought the character was so confusing and inconsistent that it kind of took away from the performance for me.
That's
Rosalind, great, like all across the board, great. And like Danny's saying, Brian Cox, what was his name, Merlin or
Milton.
Milton,
Yes.
wasted. I think he was
Yeah.
wasted, to be honest. A very strong actor and an interesting character, actually, from what they give you,
yeah,
but
Oh, the
they don't give
decision
you a
making
lot.
of the characters on all steps is bizarre.
Yes.
It does not make this is not how normal people would approach. Well, I say quote unquote normal people. Like this is not how you would imagine anybody reacting to this situation.
no,
Not even in 1986 would
Not
anyone.
even in 1986.
No, that's absolutely correct, and I do think there were some missed opportunities there too because, yeah, Brian Cox was great, and they did waste a performance out of Klaus Bing. Yeah, you're right, like just some very odd decision making from sometimes in the same scene, like
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the
Yeah.
directing in this is not the best at all. Like I mean, if you're trying to give a performance out of two really solid actors, and then you have Brian Cox, like you want to use their potential, and I feel like towards where we get like everything like done,
Exposed, yeah.
yeah, you're just like, oh cool, we're gonna get like really good performances, and it's just like
It's the weakest part of the movie.
yeah, and
absolutely.
it doesn't work, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very just you're throwing away a really good actor like Brian Cox at like just you could have gone anybody else and it would have given you that same performance, like the same actor, like the same character and everything. The direction that the director used didn't work, and I think we don't I don't want to put a lot of blame on this because there's also the writing part, but it needed a stronger director for the directions that we needed to see, because there was some weird editing choices as well, but that's besides what we're talking about.
Well, and you mentioned with Brian Cox, like the part being, it could have been anybody. It's a small part, but like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, I think it's less than 10 minutes of screen time. But you can't imagine anybody
Oh
else playing. There's
no,
no way that had to be Anthony Hopkins. Like that's it. This character, you could have. This is a plug and play. You could
yeah,
have put anybody in there. Oh, it's a
We could have
complete
done it.
waste.
yeah.
Yeah, one of us could have done it. And nothing against Brian Cox. It's all about the writing and directing. It might have been a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Could have made that erotic thriller. So we've talked about some of the things that maybe weren't so hot about the movie. What did work for you?
Hmm. I guess the portrayal of kind of losing it by
Rosalind. Oh,
Rosalind. Yeah, that was the highlight to me. I guess was that performance. Yeah.
I'm gonna jump on that as well. I feel like it did hit a little bit close to home as well. So I was like, that's a good portrayal. That's like the best portrayal I've seen. I think.
I think we're on board. Where all of us agree with this. Like she was the highlight. She did a great job. The funny thing is that the movie is pretty much her backstory is the basis of the movie, but then there's some things that they introduce but never even go back to visit. Thinking of her parents, like that kind of went
Yeah.
nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I literally just remembered it right now.
And you since we were talking about it being like kind of like dime store romance novel, were they not like lost at sea or some shit? Like it was like
Yeah.
like their backstory was something that outrageous. Like
Actually, the author of the book, she claims that her first husband was a Peruvian farmer who was exiled from his town, and they eloped in a mad romance.
oh my goodness,
Oh,
Juan
so-
Valdez, is this the
Very-
Juan Valdez himself?
Yeah, very very romantic. So, the a mystery, like arguably the most important thing is the ending satisfying to you? And now we won't get into exact details. Like, did this ending work for you guys? I'll tell you right now. Like, I guess you can say it had two endings: a resolution and then the actual final moments. And it went too quick. One part went too quick, and the other made no sense to me. So, on no level was this movie satisfying to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I will say the first ending satisfying. Second ending, okay, what? All right, we're here, but it it gets an itch. It gets an itch, but not like. We'll wait. We'll wait.
Yeah, no, it left me. Yeah, I didn't get no satisfaction from this movie at all. Yeah, it was. See, it fell flat. I thought it completely ended on a off key flat note. Bing. Like it was a weird way.
It's a weird bowling ball, like
Yeah,
holding onto the
bang.
piano. Yeah,
It was no Chuck Berry, but it was the E Street Band playing with Chuck Berry.
Little Stevie's like, what the fuck?
So final words here. This movie is in an opening day. It is out in virtual theaters right now, and some select theaters, I imagine. Is it a rental? Wait to stream or just completely ignore? I'll go with Blake this time because there's a different order going on the Skype here for some reason.
Oh, okay. I'm going ignore it. Ignore it. I mean, there's a lot of other things you could watch for in an hour and a half that would more entertain you more than this, regardless of the performances. I'm sorry to say.
Wow. What about you, Danny?
I'm gonna say there are better things to see, but I think the performances are a thing, and I would recommend to stream it. Like, if you have something better to do, yeah, do that. But you wanna waste an hour and a half. This is a movie for you.
I will say this about the Bay of Silence: it's inoffensive. It's not offensive.
It is.
It's not aggressively bad.
It's like it never happened.
Yeah. That being said, I would also say to ignore it. There's no reason. But if you're gonna watch a shitty mystery, at least you want it to engage you on some level.
That's very true. That's very true. If you're gonna go in there, there is no engaging parts of it. But again, if you're in a mood for a better version of a Lifetime movie, here you go.
That's actually a good way to put it, but still ignore it. You can find us here every week on YouTube with Adventures in Movies Etc. ... And we will do, what do we do? Mysteries, documentaries, music,
Do
animated,
it all, baby.
You name it.
conquistadors, butts, and guitars. You can find them all. You can go to check out our podcast on Spotify and iTunes, Adventures in Movies. You can also check out the quick and dirty version here on YouTube. Next week, we'll be back with something else really awesome, I'm sure. And we will talk to you then.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.
Adios, everybody.